Well, this is it, my last video of the year. It's time for me to look back at all the games that I reviewed this year and pick the top 10 best Nintendo games that I reviewed. This year I reviewed Wii U and Switch games. Mostly Switch games though. In fact, this list is almost completely Switch games. Now I went back and took a second look at all the games that I reviewed to see if maybe it's gotten better or worse throughout the year. Now just to remind you, just like my worst list, this video will only have games in it that I reviewed this year. The game may have come out in a previous year, but if I reviewed it this year, it still counts. Just remember, this is a list of games that I enjoyed playing this year. If there's one in here that you think that maybe should be there, maybe I didn't review it. So with that said, number 10, Blaster Master Zero. This is a remake of an NES game. That old 8-bit Nintendo game was actually pretty great, and the remake did a good job of updating it. It had the look and the feel of an old NES game, and it was nice seeing a younger player like the little Wiiviewer enjoying it as well. Did it kind of feel like two people were creating the story for this game and just never got together? Because it's like, in a world, everything was frozen by ice. Thousands of years later, or whatever it was. You're a student in school, and you got a pet frog. Whoa, tone shifts here. And this frog escapes and goes down a wormhole into the worlds below. You can't just be jumping around with the plot. How about have like a focused story? Just drop the whole frog angle. That was the stupidest part of this whole story.
He needed some kind of incentive.
This frog that you just met?
Not really just met. He had it for a little bit. It was his pet, I think. It's that forgettable.
And somehow he has a tracker on this frog? I'd like to see where he stuck that tracker. Number 9. Sonic Mania. A good Sonic game? I was just as surprised as anyone else. It did help that they were remade versions of stages from the older titles, but it was still fun to play and replay.
Christian Whitehead was like, I've got a game, and it's pretty good.
So it's like somebody made a fan game and there's like, this is what you should be doing.
He literally did make a fan game, and then they picked him up. He's like, yo, that's pretty cool.
Well, Nintendo does it all the time.
Fan games and Nintendo, lol.
Number 8. Shantae HalfGenie Hero. I enjoyed the last Shantae game that I played, which was The Pirate's Curse. So I was looking forward to playing this, and it was certainly different than the previous game with its transformations, but it was just as fun as the previous title. You get more hearts to make your levels easier to get through, even though I had difficulties finding heart upgrades.
Well, if you talk to the villagers, you would have heard about the heart
Well, maybe
upgrades.
I'm a little antisocial.
Well, maybe that's a you problem. This game is really easy.
I died so much in this game.
I have never died in this game. Like,
Oh my
The
God.
only time I have died, which was never, is when I tried out of my way to do so.
I mean, there was this one auto-scroller level where you're going up and it's just like, it literally took me like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, I hate this so much.
That was so easy. If you're actually
No, it is not.
If you're actually half decent at video games, you'll be able to get through this like by a breeze. And if you're not, you're able to buy items to make it even easier. Later on, you're able to get invincibility.
I'd probably still die.
You'd find a way.
Number 7. Golf Story. Whoever thought a golf RPG would work? Well, this 16-bit throwback is actually quite charming. It made doing trick shots and hard approaches fun and replayable. It was way more addicting to play than I ever expected. So this was basically, they took a golf game and put RPG elements into it. And you know what I instantly thought of when I was playing this game?
Stardew Valley.
No.
That's what everyone's making the connections to.
Nope. It's a game I've reviewed. This is a tennis game. Mario Tennis Power Tour.
Did that even exist?
Yeah. How about watching my reviews sometime?
Wait, what?
Basically, they took the concept from Mario Tennis Power Tour and just said, let's do that with golf, because it's exactly the same thing.
What Mario Tennis game?
It's for the Game Boy Advance. The Mario game where you don't actually play as Mario. You play as some random person as you're playing tennis. Number 6. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I am not a huge fan of strategy games. I'm just not very good at them. But even I was seriously impressed with the presentation and gameplay of this title. It looked like a game Nintendo would make. And somehow they even made the Rabbids characters tolerable to be around. So what's the story about?
Mario and Rabbids came to the same kingdom, and like things got sucked up. People disappeared, oh yeah, and stuff's getting merged together, but that's really the gist of it.
So somebody was playing with the PlayStation VR, and just like we expected, it turned evil and started creating things into other things, and then merged in other worlds together. And that's how this whole thing happened. Which is why we're never buying a PlayStation VR. We should probably talk about the fact that Mario has a gun. What do you think of it?
Pretty good with it.
Should take it to a regular game. Hey, Bowser. Boom!
Sadly, those aren't bullets he's shooting.
What are they?
They're like balls of plasma. They're like Nerf bullets that explode.
I can just see that marketing meeting. Okay, it's like Nerf, but with death. You mean bullets? No. It's soft, but it will kill you.
That does explain it, to be honest.
Number 5. Splatoon 2. When I first reviewed this, it didn't have more appeal than the first game. But that game was actually pretty great. But the problem was it was too similar to that game. But thinking back and looking at it now, yeah, there is a large difference between it. There's a lot more people playing the Switch version than the Wii U version, probably. And also, just like the original game, it got better with time. And new content updates gave us new modes and weapons. The basic game is you want to cover the field with your color of ink or paint,
It's canonically ink.
but it looks like paint.
It has glitter in the single player, so...
Woo! Looks like we're going dancing.
Yeah.
Paint everywhere.
I
Woo!
don't know why it does.
It's
It does.
glitter ink, which is why it's so hard to walk through it if it's the enemy color, because it's all glitter glue, and it's like, ew, I don't want to step on this. But like when it's on your team, it's the same color as your shoes, so you don't really mind.
Number 4. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is exactly what I want from a Mario Kart game. A great racing mode and a fun battle mode. Even better, all the tracks were unlocked from the beginning. So you don't have to unlock the many great tracks this title had to offer, which makes it a perfect jumping in point for anyone who didn't play any of the previous games in the series. Balloon is basically the basic one that you're used to, where you have 5 balloons and you try and pop the other people's balloon.
Balloon battles, it's alright. It's the classic. There's not much else to say to that. Coin runners is a mode where you collect coins.
Whoa! Hold the phone there. Are you sure about that? Might have to check my notes on that. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, believe it or not.
So the one who has the most coins at the end wins?
Yes.
It's kind of cool. You could see the little stack of coins by the people, so you know who to go after.
It's certainly something.
Number 3. Skyrim. This was my first real entrance into Skyrim. I was very impressed with the way the world seemed alive, and there was a lot to do in it. In fact, it got to a point where there was just like too much to do. I really liked the customization, and it felt like a game you could get really lost in. What'd you think of archery?
I can't aim.
Actually, the motion controls work really well. I mean, it works a lot like Splatoon. Like even with your Pro Controller, which is mostly what I used, I could just slightly move the Pro Controller up and it would slightly move the reticle around based on where I was motioning it. And it worked quite well. No, I was terrible at it. If I shoot an arrow at someone's face, I don't think they should be able to just keep coming at me.
Yeah, the arrow clearly didn't do enough damage to their brain.
It's like it's only sticking out of their eye. I'm gonna get you!
I can see perfectly.
Now, another thing that was a little weird was the dungeons. And it's because they were all basically just caves.
It's a lot of caves.
I have to think that if Skyrim ever had an earthquake, people would be going into the ground. Because this place is nothing but caves. I couldn't believe how many caves there were of like underground tunnels under Skyrim. I was expecting these dungeons to be like little smaller. No, they're huge. Some of these places you go to, other people haven't been to in years. But yet, everything's lit up. Like there's torches galore. I'm like, what is going on here? Are you trying to tell me that these people just left the lights on? Number 2. Super Mario Odyssey. Finally, what I've been wishing for years now. A real open world Mario game. And Nintendo didn't disappoint. And it was very satisfying to find all the moons throughout it. It was just a joy to play and replay. Peach is wearing one of those hats from Cappy's Kingdom. So why can't Peach use that hat to take on Bowser? And just say, forget Mario, let's just use my hat.
For all we know, she doesn't even know that's a possibility.
How about that hat talks to her?
It's true that they do talk to each other, but it may be that Cappy is the only one who can do the possessing thing.
That's not true. Some of the Bonneteers, or whatever they're called, mention capturing.
So I guess this is what you call a plot hole. So somehow Mario ends up in a world full of hats.
He lands in a hat kingdom with a hat economy, with hat people, with hat children, with hat ships.
The problem is all the hat spaceships are destroyed, so he has to find a way to another world to find a hat spaceship that is still working. Except that hat spaceship looks like a piece of rusty crap. Then when you get enough moons, somehow all that rust disappears.
Mario Magic.
Number 1. It'll do 2 plus. This open world Zelda type game made it so you can go anywhere you just want to. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's a good game, but it's nothing like the real number 1, which is number 1. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. What's to say about a game that hasn't been said by thousands, maybe millions of YouTube videos out there? This game blew me away. Nintendo made exploring fun again. Normally I just try to speed to locations that I need to go to. When it comes to this game, I'm always trying to find different ways to get there, just to see if I can. The sense of adventure and fun is present throughout every second of this fantastic game. You wake up, you were told that it's 100 years later, and you've learned the ability to jump.
No, your special power is your amazing upper body strength.
The hero of upper body strength.
Well, I'm pretty sure that he was bitten by a radioactive spider, and he became Spider-Link. If he
mean-
had started shooting webs out, I'd be like, this is the greatest game ever! And money just isn't in the grass anymore. You're gonna have to sell fruit or mine for gold and ore and sell it.
Personally, never had money problems in this game.
Or
you
you
could
could-
just
Okay, Scrooge McDuck!
Or you could just do what I do and just beat up Guardians and sell all of their parts.
You could just get a lot of ore in this game, and ore is basically just rupees.
Okay, braggers. I just want to see Link carrying all these like radishes and ores in his pockets, and he's trying to sneak up on this bokoblin.
She could
I got
also
7 swords and 5 shields and 9 bows. How come I can't see this on Link?
Man, I wish I could hold that many swords and bows.
Oh, don't give Nintendo an idea. They'll probably do that in the next one. Like, oh, you don't like breakable objects? Well, you can only carry 2 at a time. Well, that's it. My top 10 best Nintendo games that I reviewed this year. It has now been almost 10 years since I started doing reviews. January 7th, 2008 to be exact. Time sure flies. However, it occurs to me that means I've made a top 10 best and worst list for every year I've been doing this. So that means I have 10 number ones from each of those years. So for my next videos, I'm going to pick the best and worst games that I've ever reviewed. I want to thank everyone who's been supporting me and watching me these last 10 years. And I hope everyone has a very happy new year.